at that point right now because I know what's about to happen up here. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut and introduce John Moore, Steve Spurgeon, and Bluegrass Etc. Let her go.
Planned that right there. Thank you all very much. We announced yesterday and this morning we were going to turn our last set of the day into a tribute to our buddy Dennis Capplinger, who's not with us, but I had an accident, and my depends are, let me give you the keys to the truck. They're behind the seat. Yeah, no, that wasn't the accident. Well, I had an accident when the microphone fell, but that's a whole other story. Yeah. Anyway, excuse us. We'll get back to you here in a minute. No, the microphone fell over. Then I couldn't remember how to play the mandolin. We wanted to. Well, it happens, and it gets worse as you get older, from what I hear. We lost a lot of good people in 2021, and the list goes on. For me personally, the loss of Dennis Capplinger, the loss of Byron Berline, the loss of John Hickman, the loss of my nephew in February. It's been a rough year, but I told Sarah just before we started, man, I needed this because for me personally, this is the closing of a chapter to lose Dennis. He was such a part of my life, in your life, and your life, everybody's life. And so this is good therapy for me because these are all pieces of the last 25, 30 years. You're still 16, right? Yeah. And I'm still 25, so it feels that way anyway. So let me introduce these guys to you. You know the guy on the end. We've been playing together all weekend. Steve Spurgeon down there on the end. And back whenever that was, a long time ago, my mom was a piano teacher, and she had a whole bunch of piano students, and she had this kid named Sean Watkins who was taking piano lessons, and his mom would come over, and we'd sit around and visit, and Chuck would come over, and she had this little girl, their daughter, 3 years old, and she said, "I'm going to be a fiddle player," and I went, "That's nice. That's nice." Because fiddles aren't easy, you know, and I thought, oh, this poor kid, she's going to get discouraged. She's not going to be able to stay with this thing, and the little booger hooked on like a bull terrier and learned to play the fiddle, took lessons from Dennis, with Byron Berline. You know, the rest is history, and you probably already know her, but a very good friend, and I'm so glad she's here. Sarah Watkins. Yeah. And you know this guy right here. Somebody tell me who he is. No.
I'm me, don't you know?
The man with the hat right here, the guy who stepped in to be Dennis Capplinger this weekend. Big shoes to fill, and he does it. This is Rick Ferris right here.
Yeah, Rick.
And Sammy was walking by on his way to get a cold drink a while ago, and I turned him around and hit him back up again. You know Sammy Schaller from the Lonesome River Band right here. Give him a hand. So Steve and I were in a band called the California Band. It was Byron Berline, Dan Curry, John Hickman, Steve, and myself, and people like that. We had a version of Uncle Pen we used to do in those days, and Sarah, I didn't realize it until we were backstage. She knows all that stuff. She knows all the arrangements from the California Band because she grew up listening to it. So we're just going to step into it and see if we can remember. You'll get it, and I'll blow it, is what'll happen. So, Rick, you do the honors. Right in there. 1, 2. Oh, the people would come from far away, dance on at the break of day when the caller would holler, "Don't see go," and the walk in was ready to go. Hill and above the town, played the fiddle on how it rang. Hear it talk, you can hear it sing. Oh, made an old tune called "The Soldier's Joy." Never forget that mournful day when Uncle Pen was called away. They hung up the fiddle and they hung up the bow. They knew it was time for him to go. Late in the evening, knocking down high hill and above the town. People played the fiddle on how it rang. Hear it talk, you can hear it sing. there was a period of time in San Diego that a lot of you guys probably remember. I haven't lived here in 25 years, but back in those days, there was this group of guys. I mentioned it yesterday. I kind of considered it like our own little San Diego County Rat Pack. And we passed around gigs to each other. And someone would call me. I'd call Chris Vitus, Tom Cunningham, Dennis Capplinger. You when you got big enough. And then somebody would call Chris. We'd call the same each other. After a while, all the venues in California going, aren't you guys the same band? No, this week, he's the leader. And so these are all good friends of Dennis's and Byron's. And they're old compadres of mine. Wander up here, guys. I want to introduce you. We want to play some tunes together. This is Memory Lane. They're all really, really old now, so it takes a few minutes. Back in the day, they'd have been up here already. All right, do you guys know this guy right here? How many remember Montezuma's Revenge? Not that you had it, but the band, Montezuma's Revenge. Chris Vitus down there on the fiddle. Give Chris a big hand. You guys know Tom Cunningham back here? Yeah, let me go back here. Well, I'll go to the gal back here. The original Bluegrass Etc was Dennis Capplinger, Scott Edwards, Julie Moore, and me. And we managed to fly her in from Nashville. She was coming anyway, but that's beside the point. My sister Julie Moore back here on the guitar. And the original bass player from Bluegrass Etc. in the checkered trunk, Scott Edwards back here. Give Scott. And we needed somebody to play all the Dennis Capplinger guitar licks, so we went and got his son, Zach. That's Zachary Capplinger back here. Who wants to kick it? You guys kick it. We'll join you. You can tell we've rehearsed for minutes, seconds. You gonna do 3 fiddles? I don't know. A 3? Okay. I'm moving.
All right, right from the top.
Yep. Out there. 1, now like 1, 2, 3. For the last, I didn't touch anything that time. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. Man, I don't know. I started thinking that I would come up here and tell Dennis Capplinger stories, and there's too many of them. And a lot of them I can't really tell, but if you'll meet me backstage, I can tell, where there's not a microphone. But Steve and I one time, and Dennis, were going from Germany to Torino, Italy, to play a show in Torino. And if you've been to Italy, you know how all roads lead to Rome. You ever seen how they're laid out? The town's there. It's a wheel. You know, the town is in the center, and all the roads come to the center. All those old Roman roads. So we're coming into Torino, Italy, Turin, where the Shroud of Turin is, and we have an address. We haven't got any clue where we're going. We're sitting at a stoplight, and I don't mean this to sound disrespectful, but it kind of reminded me of being in Tijuana. And we're sitting at the stoplight, and we don't know where we're going. And there's a taxi driver parked at the light next to us. I said, Dennis, ask him in Spanish, because you can talk Spanish to Italians, we found out. And they can talk, did you know that? I didn't know this. I said, but I thought, hey, Dennis, you speak a foreign language. Speak a foreign language to the guy, since he's a foreigner. You know, here we are in Italy. He's a foreigner. Talk to him. So Dennis starts talking to him, hola, senor. And the guy rolls down his window, and he asks him in Spanish, can you take us to this address? And the guy says, sí. And he mashed on it. And the light was red, and he took off out across the intersection, and I went, shoot. So I gunned it too, and we wove between the cars, and we drove across meridians and down the wrong side of roads and down the sidewalk, and he pulled up in front of the hotel. And if you've been to Italy, they literally park, like Steve Martin in the Pink Panther, and there's this much space between the bumpers. And he pulls up there, lets us off. We do the show. I left my Spurs in the hotel room. That's another story, because the promoter wore my Spurs around Torino, Italy for 2 years before he sent them home to me. The next day, we had to leave at 7 a.m., and I had booked this tour, and our next gig was 9 p.m. the next night in Brussels. Do you know your geography? We thought leaving at 7 a.m. was plenty of time. And we take off, and we go through Mont Blanc Tunnel, Chamonix. We're cruising across France, Liechtenstein. We're looking at the clock going, this ain't happening. We're not going to make it. And we hit a pheasant at 120 miles an hour. And that was interesting, because this pheasant guts went all over the windshield, and Dennis was driving, and he turned on the wipers. I'll never eat Dijon mustard again, because the Dijon mustard with long dangly parts was going. And now we're going 120 miles an hour. So Dennis rolls down the window and sticks his head out the window, and his ears are flapping in the wind. And anyway, we stopped. We poured bottles of water all over the windshield. We rolled up to the venue at 9:15, and the show starts at 9. And we pull up in front, and it's a big glass window, and we can look in and see the crowd sitting there patiently watching how the band is being fashionably late, having no idea we're not even in town. And we pulled out, ran in, did a show. Remember that, Steve? We've been on the road like 16 hours. We did the show, got through the show. The promoter says he's supposed to feed us, and he's supposed to put us in the hotel. So we're like, it's midnight now. We're hungry. Get us something to eat. And he walks us around looking for a restaurant that's open. He's made no pre-arrangements for this. So along about 2, we go, just take us to the room. He walks us down into the red light district of Brussels and says, there's your hotel, bye. And he's gone. And we walk in there, and Steve and Dennis and I walk upstairs, and we got 2 rooms, and the doors have been kicked in on the rooms. You can't lock the door. There's a stained mattress laying on a set of bed springs in each room. And he's gone. And we looked at each other, and we got in the car and drove 23 hours to Gävle, Sweden, for our next show at 11 o'clock the next morning. We rolled in about 10:45 and played that show. And I tell you that story just to let any of you budding bands know out there that I do booking. I'm a tour arranger, and I can set you up with these gigs, and I can get you there.
I'd like to say that on that second gig,
Yeah.
we weren't late, but on that one they could smell us coming. Like we've been up for like 2 days.
That was, anyway, those are the stories I can tell. But like I say, meet me backstage afterwards, and I got the funny ones back in there. But Dennis was just such a big part of my life and everything like that. So let's do. I want to do Sally Gooden, but let's do the Sitting on Top of the World. Yeah. Now we haven't rehearsed this, but we're going to do this the way we did it with Bluegrass Etc. Yeah, you're singing this. Scott, you're playing bass on this. Do you know this
I was
song?
going to bail and go get a sandwich. It's a good thing I hung around.
I think it's a G, isn't it?
Hey.
Hey.
Was in the spring one sunny day. Yeah. My good gal left me. She went away. And now she's gone, but I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. Mississippi River like the world. My baby left me on the other side. Now she's gone, but I don't worry. I'm sitting on top of the world. Shake the tree, down to my orchard, let those peaches be. Now she's gone, but I don't worry. And I'm sitting on top of the world, taking a breath. She called me a little pencil. Come on, lady, Lord, I need you so. Now she's gone, but I don't worry. I'm sitting